Hey folks, it's Rob Wells here with you, Landlord Warrior on TikTok and YouTube. Hey, I just wanted to make a clarification video on that Section 8 video I did the other day here. I wanted to clarify a couple of things here. I had a tenants colleague of mine contact me about, what we posted here, and I wanted to just make it clear to our landlords here about the exemption I was talking about under the Tenants Protection Act. Under subdivision E9 of the Tenants Protection Act here. I want to really point out to you guys, even though I did mention, yes, the text kind of does read that Section 8 tenancies could be exempt under the TPA, that code section, there is a lot of how should I say this? This is one thing in the Tenants Protection Act that could be litigated, actually. And I wanted to make it clear that I'm not saying 100% that a landlord should issue a termination notice and state that their tenancy is exempt under the Tenants Protection Act, under that code section. I will point out that it was specifically designed by the legislature to exempt projects and so forth like that, where you get subsidies from the federal government or a government entity, basically, that are usually recorded with the property. The way the legislature wrote the statute, it could kind of be interpreted a couple of different ways, and I don't think the legislature clearly intended what they wrote in the statute. However, this is kind of one of the reasons why, I kind of bashed the TPA and how they wrote certain things, because they just left these things in the air. And I will point out that it is probably going to be litigated one day, and I hate to say it, folks, it's probably there's probably going to come out that the legislature clearly didn't intend to do this. One of the peeves I have is the legislature now could fix this issue. I don't even think they know that this subdivision probably has this type of issue, because I've heard from other attorneys and so forth like that, and I guess this is amongst the landlord-tenants bar here, that exemption is being interpreted different ways. And this would be kind of like a landlord-friendly approach where, hey, a Section 8 tenancy would be exempt. Personally, I don't think it makes any sense, but because again, the whole point of Section 8 is to provide subsidized housing for low-income individuals, and that's like the most vulnerable type of person, where why would you make that exempt? This is just one of the things where when you write sloppy legislation, that it could be subject to a couple of different interpretations. One thing I will point out is the legislature could have done what they did to the no-fault just cause for substantial remodel. They took the time to actually craft out what the definition of a substantial remodel is. And in this case, for this exemption, they could have done something similar towards that. So probably, my tenants colleagues, on the other side, probably, their interpretation is probably going to be right. It's kind of it's a consumer friendly, the whole point of the TPA is to protect tenants. So it's kind of like, guys, Sacramento, you guys made a boo-boo, basically. That's kind of what my point was. And I'll explain to you in some other videos how I've dealt with this before on certain Section 8 tenancies about the move-out assistance, because I think, to be honest with you, like my tenants colleague pointed out to me, and I totally agree with this. Yeah, on appeal, especially if it goes to appeal within like the Bay Area or LA, it's going to be, the law is clearly wasn't intended to do that, but the way they wrote it I think they have issues, and they could really fix that issue now with the pending legislation to beefing up the no-fault just cause provisions. But I don't even think the legislature knows. So those are my thoughts. As always, I will just caution folks, listen, you want to have, counsel review your situation and any type of termination of tenancy, because these issues do exist out there. You don't want to, issue a notice or anything like that, and then it comes to bite you. Appeals are expensive. You don't want to have to deal with that.